Hey, good morning, everybody. I am back. It's been 5 days. I've been bachelor partying out of New Orleans with everybody, and it was a good time. We could do some recapping later, but I kind of want to jump into the magic. It's been I don't know. It's been so long since I've taken this much time off stream, but I'm so excited to get back into it. Thank you, Udok, for the 50 months. If you haven't noticed, there is like a new tier 1 deck in Modern. It is a deck that looks kind of similar to this, that is trying to use Neoform, Birthing Ritual, Eldritch Evolution to power an Allosaurus Rider into some combination of these cards, usually. Now, I'll say that, it's cool that Ghalta from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, a set that came out a while ago, is finally finding a home. It's not a card that I thought was very good, but I do think it is actually just like really perfect for this archetype. And also this card, Ureni, Song Unending, I just kept losing to this card over and over and over again. If you don't know this one, it's a 10/10 from Dragonstorm. Costs 8 mana. It has protection from white and black, so it's very, very difficult to remove. And when it enters, it deals X damage to creatures and planeswalkers, where X is the number of lands you control, and you can divide it up as you choose. Some people play Terastodon too. Not everybody does. And of course Griselbrand. And so the idea is that usually what these decks do, they're just trying to turbo some combination of these out. So they're trying to, if you draw any of these, you just always get Ghalta, and then you put Ghalta plus something big into play, or multiple big things into play. But also one thing you can do is you can Neoform into Ghalta, and if that resolves, then you can Summoner's Pact for a Xenagos, then you could use Xenagos to attack for 24 on turn 2. Now, this deck is really good for a few different reasons. Dodging Graveyard Hate completely is really, really nice. Being something that just is consistent and fast and consistently beats Boros and Prowess is really good, while also having fast combo finishes to beat other linear decks is a really important deal too. So I've been liking this deck a lot, and basically all of my free time this trip, I've been thinking about this deck. This is it's kind of employing the same plan, intentionally being a little bit slower so that we can play a bunch of counter magic. Now, if you play a bunch of counter magic, a bunch of Spell Pierces and Force of Negations, this is going to help you stomp the mirror. And quite simply, I think this deck is maybe the best deck in Modern. This archetype is the best archetype in Modern right now, just how well positioned it is. And getting to play a lot of counters magic to hedge against the mirror is a really big deal. Subtlety, also very good in the mirror. So the mirror is the main reason we're playing this, although we get extra equity against some decks like Titan. But the ability to Subtlety in Allosaurus Rider is just such a big deal. Now, another thing I like about this build is that we also have 4 Murktide Regents that we can just go in on if we're playing against really interactive decks. Decks with lots of counter spells can be an issue, even with the 4 Veil of Summer. Sometimes it's just hard to win the fights, but your ability to just cast a Murktide Regent is really nice. And of course, Murktide Regent also Neoforms and Birthing Rituals into the big stuff. Let's see, one more thing. We're not playing any Atraxas because we are a bit more in on Neoform, where Neoform can't get an 8. Okay, so it can't get a 7, but if you were playing Hooting Mandrills can go Neoform into a 7. And you could also Hooting Eldritch Evolution Mandrills, but I think I just wanted to play just the Murktide Regents. No Xenagos. Yes, another thing about no Xenagos is you don't need Xenagos. I think this is one reason to play this deck, because you don't have to play Xenagos. Is if you just go Griselbrand into Force of Negation, this is going to win you almost every single game, and you don't, because you're playing a bunch of Force of Negations. In my opinion, you don't need the combo finish with Xenagos, because you have the interaction to hold up. You also have Terastodon too to stop your opponents from killing you. So you don't need the one-shot kill, in my opinion. I was trying to build this a few different ways. So one thing is balancing the number of green pitchables and blue pitchables is really tough. And you need 2 green cards to pitch for Allosaurus Rider. And so there was a little bit of a time where I was trying to play this a Shardless Agent deck, where you would only Shardless Agent into Neoform. And then Shardless Agent being blue and green was a big deal. And then you could play Incubation Incongruity too, which is also blue and green. And that digs you either for Agent, which is your Neoform, or digs you for Allosaurus Rider, or sometimes Murktide. When I was playtesting that deck, I bricked on Incubation Incongruity every single time I cast it. And even though the numbers weren't that bad, especially with the Disciples of Freyalise, And also, like, cascading into Neoform was pretty awkward because it gave your opponent a window to kill your Rider in response. But I want to talk about how I tried that build before I landed on this one, which I feel like we've got a good balance of the pitchables too. I think we can keep this one. The fourth land is, of course, like a land too many here. But I think that that's going to be okay. There is a good consideration, I think, for leading on a fetch land to try to get more cards in the yard for a fast Murktide Regent, but definitely just going to be content now to take the Rider, and if we draw a green card, we can go Rider Birthing Ritual. If we draw a Neoform, we can go Rider Neoform. Hope you got some good rest of flight troubles. Yeah, it was tough. There's like storms in Dallas, and so our flight just got pushed back and back and back, and we didn't get home until really late, and that's why there was no stream yesterday. Now, we are up against a blue deck immediately. My experience so far has that there have been a lot of blue decks in the leagues at the moment. We do not draw the green card. I am going to go ahead and I think and just deploy the Birthing Ritual. I see the tail tell me everything didn't work out. Yeah, I was testing it for a bit. I was trying a few different builds. It did not work out as it were. Trip was really fun. It was just a lot of hanging out with friends, and we did an airboat tour that was really cool. We did a lot of eating, a lot of walking. I bought a couple 6 shirts. Okay, this is Prowess, thankfully, and we do draw the green card. Now, we do get actually pretty punished, I suppose, for playing the ritual last turn because we drew the evolution. We could have just put Griselbrand into play if we wanted to. But we could also just surveil Griselbrand to the top. All right. So look at the cards. Looking at them. Griselbrand into play. Yeah, I did get a little hungover on Saturday, but I didn't drink too much overall. Good morning. Do you think Croaks will be okay in the Necro burn deck? No, I don't. What? It's a Nombo with Necro, and it's a slow, clunky card that doesn't even burn your opponent. I feel probably pretty good about blocking, even if my Griselbrand dies in this altercation. Was there consideration of Snare over Pierce? Yeah, I did consider exactly that, and so I've already lost the Ureni, but I could maybe get the other Ghalta and put 2 Murktides into play, which would be pretty fine, and I could also maybe get Terastodon. Now I'm just thinking if I want a Force of Negation. This, I think, no is going to be the answer. Violent Urge, Alarm Bells. They don't have Delirium, though. Oh, but they have first strike work, so I guess we could just force this. Alright, so they trade. Slinger with the 38 months. Thank you, welcome back. Fire Alpha Planar Genesis. I guess I get the Scalding Tarn so I can get an extra card in the yard. Just go ahead and put Terastodon into play here. Kind of out of spells, but excuse me. Out of spells, we might hardcast this Ghalta despite having just Stone Rained myself. Yeah, just say okay to this, no, and pass back. Kind of scary how well Neoforms are doing. Kind of. I mean, so like one thing is I'm really happy about Neoform doing as well as it's been doing. I was worried, like Modern was starting to feel a bit stale, the metagame was feeling a bit stuck, and a deck like Neoform is something that really freshens things up, where it really incentivizes other strategies to come and exist and take care of it while it polices stuff like Boros and Prowess, and Eldrazi. And so like for me, you may have remembered me talking about this, but like Boros and Eldrazi existing, like it's very hard to build decks that are good against both of these two things. Prowess 2 to a lesser extent, but like it's very hard to build decks that are good against both of these things. And this deck just kind of gets to be that. Like I'm not even playing any consigns in the 75 just because I think the Eldrazi matchup is just so nice without them, which is like such a relief for the sideboard. Although you could play some consigns if you wanted to. Now I do want to bring in some Veil of Summers. They should have some counter magic in post board. Also, they play the I got by the Gifted Tap Fish card yesterday, and so I want to be able to Veil of Summer that. And so I think I'm going to be wanting to go down to like one Eldritch Evolution, one Preordain. It's a bit slow. Just play combo, right? Well, I mean this is combo. Just play combo is a bit reductive too, right? Where it's like there are some combo decks that are viable, like Neoform, Goryo's, and Storm, and the aforementioned decks are just a good bit more vulnerable to common pieces of hate that exist. Okay, so I can keep this one. I can go Surveil, card of the yard that's 2, fetch 3 cards in the yard, play Birthing Ritual, and then I can fetch again and play Murktide. I guess I'm going to be one short of Murktide with Veil up on turn 3. We got to keep this. Amulet is basically a combo. Amulet is, of course, combo. Yeah. Yeah, but of course there are viable combo decks in Modern. I'm not trying to argue that point. Val with 18, Tentacle Monster with 20, Bounce Splash 31. Thank you all for coming back after my vacation. So is Neoform just becoming the best deck? Yeah, I think Neoform is probably the best deck at the moment, and this deck I'm playing today is trying to be a version of the deck that's really good in the mirror, is my intention in working on this build. But yes, that is also where I'm at. I think Neoform is, I think it's just the best deck. Okay, we drew both Ghaltas. I did have a good vacation. It was very, very fun. Mostly, of course, just, enjoying hanging out with people that you don't get to see for like extended periods of time, which is really nice. Is Neoform better than Amulet Titan? I think it's very good against Amulet Titan. So I would say it's better positioned. What are the best hate pieces against Neoform? Grafdigger's Cage is like, and this is one thing I like about it too, is like there are just a lot of really good cards you can play to be good against it. All right, so I guess I'm gonna go get a basic island, cast a Veil of Summer, then cast a Murktide. So Vexing Bauble and Grafdigger's Cage are 2 1-mana artifacts that any deck can play to be really, really good against Neoform. Our build is better against Vexing Bauble because we've got access to a bunch of Murktide Regents compared to the other build, which is just really, really in on Allosaurus Rider. Now we do need to hit something here. Okay, they can sign the Birthing Ritual trigger. Did you see the new Sonic creature that goes to the Titan and is just another Amulet and Green Sun? I did not see that, no. Why not Merc for 3? Because if my opponent has counter magic, like a Spell Pierce, I guess Spell Pierce doesn't count counter Murktide, like a Mystical Dispute, then this is the only way to play around that. But you're right, yeah, maybe that's too narrow of a range. Last time Neoform was good, it took a ban. Parentheses, Simian Spirit Guide, do you think we're in the same situation? It doesn't feel the same to me, no. And like at the very least, it's just like a little bit too early. I'll say this, like, for a long time, Modern players have been like, "There's a new top deck. I'm having a hard time beating it," and that justifiably, the decision tree has been, okay, we need a ban, because that's just how it's been for a long time. Is if a deck becomes too good, the metagame can't fix that, and a ban is necessary. But I think in a Force of Negation, Vexing Bauble, Grafdigger's Cage world, I think it seems likely that this is not a deck that ruins the format. That this is a deck that you can contain, and I'm even hoping that like some Murktide / like Frog lists end up being viable because of this archetype. What are my thoughts on Gold Leagues? I still don't really have my thoughts very well formulated on Gold Leagues, I guess. I'm trying to figure out how I feel about them. I guess I should have maybe thought a little bit more about getting Ureni. I would have had to play my land first. But it might have been better. I'm going to get the Griselbrand, though. think with them just having one card in their hand, this seems like it should be fine. The Spoiled Creature Spelunking. Okay, I haven't seen this one. Wandering Minstrel. Oh. Okay, add block. Saw pop up. Lands you control enter untapped at the beginning of combat in your turn. If you control 5 or more towns, create a 5-color 2/2 elemental token. Then for 8 mana, 5 of them Wooburg. Until end of turn, creatures get +X X number of towns you control. Well, don't see this making the cut in Amulet Titan. I guess it's a green sunnable spelunking, huh? Maybe that's good enough. The other effects seem to be blank. Gonna get back mutagenic growth. Does this kill me? I don't think this kills me. I block here. I gain 11, and then I take... Okay, then I just pass. Well, now they're gonna have to chump block with their Slickshot show off, which is great. And then I can play both Allosaurus Rider and Murktide Regent second main phase. What's the plan? Next turn attack? Yeah, I was going to attack with my 8/8 lifelinker. I might also get to ritual into the Ureni if I'm lucky. Not that lucky, but there's a Disciple of Freyalise, which I think I'm going to go ahead and grab here. And I think I'm going to sack the Rider. Yeah, gain 5 more life. Might find a Force of Negation. Okay, no Force of Negation. Does it set up WotC to be able to ban Amulet? Well, Amulet is still the most efficient and most powerful mana generating card in Modern's history, and it's still Amulet still already could exist in I think a pretty reasonable space without the card Amulet of Vigor. I've been killed turn 3 by just spelunking plenty of times. I'm gonna keep this hand. I think I should lead on basic island Preordain so that I can look for a Neoform or Birthing Rituals to go off on turn 2. Opponent mulligans to 6. High Rain. You need to cut the creature plus number of green suns. Well, I mean, some people just already play green suns, right? I know that maybe your list doesn't have green sun, but there just are plenty of builds that already play them. So I feel like you start off on one of those builds. Why are we on Ureni in the deck? Is it just a big dumb flyer good of most of the time with Lightning Arc attached to it most of the time? Yeah, it's also unkillable by a lot of different decks, but I was also, I'll just say this, I was dubious on this card as well. I didn't really understand it, and I just kept dying to it over and over and over again. Is the short answer, I guess. I'm gonna graveyard this since finding another big creature maybe lets me Ghalta next turn. Yeah, I just kept dying to this card over and over and over again. I could not kill it, but it is very good. I think I really need to be convinced about Murktide in this list. Okay. There's a good chance I'm going to cast Murktide this next turn, so I can maybe go off with Spell Pierce up. Oh right, sorry, I don't have the prerequisite green card anyway, so. Yeah, I'll cast a Murktide. Yeah, so should have just kept the Genesis for the extra green card. Although they can have Force here. Might end up working out better this way. Yeah, I think Murktides fit amazing. One, you could Neoform them, and they give you a really, really solid plan B. The card quality is really high. It fits into the slower, more counterspell focused build, in my opinion. But Rediscover the Way. Cool to see someone trying this card out. Could be worth Force of Negationing. I think that's going to be what I'm going to do, since I want to try to set up for an evolution into a Griselbrand this next turn. Ooh. Okay, well, the Solitude pitching another copy of Rediscover the Way. Well, the good news is now I'm a green card away from Rider into Neoform with Spell Pierce up. Is there any way to hardcast Ureni? No. Let's get this so we can surveil, I suppose. Anybody play Rediscover the Way in Modern? I have been kind of looking at it a little bit. I've been seeing people play it in Standard and having fun with it, it seems. They've got 4 cards in their hand. They're missing land drop. We find our green card. Now, my opponent just does have enough to go Counterspell, pay for Spell Pierce, but they're also missing land drops. We also have 2 more Spell Pierce in our deck we can draw into, but I think hoping that they... Okay, very interesting that they did not main phase cycle there. They just decided to miss their land drop. Does that mean anything? Does that mean that that's a blue card for Force of Negation, maybe? Seems not that likely. I guess I'm going to play the Birthing Ritual, since I think there's actually a pretty solid chance they counter this. Stock up that pitches to everything. That makes sense, yeah. Cool. So yeah, there's the Force of Negation. Now we get to go Allosaurus Rider. Oh my gosh, I don't have Spell Pierce up. Well, I'm going for it. Sorry, I thought I had 1 more mana for some reason. It didn't matter. Okay, it looks like we are not going to need to pay any more life here. So just gonna control this running. I have like stock up. Yeah, sorry, already read. All right, but they're also playing stock up. I mean, why wouldn't you? I guess my point about Murktide is it only does something if we aren't doing anything. Yeah, and one that's not true, right? Because it also contributes to the Neoform Birthing Ritual plan. So to say that it only does something if we're not doing anything, I don't know if you're just missing the fact that it's also a 7 mana value creature for our plan. But also, you're not doing anything a lot in this deck, because when you're playing against blue decks, your opponents just hold that mana forever, and so just having a proactive threat that, like, you know, is hard to answer is like just a super duper big deal in matchups like this as well. It also like blocks really well against prowess. Like that has won me a couple games in testing so far. So I will respectfully disagree. I'm going to bring in these Veil of Summers. I do want to go think down on like 2 Evolution, 2 Preordain. This is like roughly how I sideboarded yesterday, although I had 4 Birthing Rituals, 2 Evolution yesterday. It's just Evangels that pitches a Force. I mean, 7 mana value versus 6 does matter a lot. But yeah, it also, like, I'll say this too. This card is much better than Hooting Mandrills. Like, it just is it flies and it's bigger. So it's like it's you also just can't forget that it is Murktide Regent. It is a very high quality card. But Winter Night Story is somewhere in the list. Good with Shepherd and Murktide if you don't have Neoform cards immediately. Seems like it could be slow. You also have nothing to discard for value. Did I trophy yesterday? No, I didn't trophy yesterday. I did do some testing though. Illusions with the 4 years, or me with the 10 months. Thanks everybody. Welcome back. Post bachelor party. New to deck, why Ureni? So Ureni was a card I didn't understand until I kept losing to it over and over and over again. I don't know if that's been. I guess it must have been mostly off stream. But the card is just comes down, clears the board, kills really quickly. It is very hard to kill itself. The card is, simply put, very good. And I'm going to leave up the Spell Pierce, just in case they have something like a Vexing Bauble or a Cage or something. Rapture the 21 months. First time I've caught a live stream in a while. Happy summer. Nice. Happy summer to you too. Turn 4 Neoform and my Murktide is like absolute saying this is very exciting. Okay, wrong. Yeah, that's okay. And again, you can afford to have slower turn 4, cheat something big into play turns when you have counter magic to slow your opponents down. Like that's kind of like the entire idea too. It's like with Spell Pierce and Force, like games are just slower, so you can afford to be a little slower yourself. You can also go turn 2 Birthing Ritual, turn 3 Murktide sometimes, but not sure how here or there it is. Yeah, Ureni's very good against Boros. It's very good against Orzhov. Just very good. Okay, so we could take this island. I think that getting this Veil of Summer in my hand is just going to be much more important. Get basic island despite another Surveil potentially being really nice. I think I'll take the Force and put the Ureni back into the deck. So now if I can Planar Genesis into a land, I could go Veil of Summer if that resolves, then I could go Murktide plus Neoform. I could also maybe just go Murktide with Veil Spell Pierce up, and if it gets countered, that's okay. There's also now an Allosaurus Rider, so yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and put the Rider into my hand. And then think for a second. So if I use this, I don't have enough green cards really. Second Murktide is pretty interesting. Yeah, let me just go Murktide with Veil Counterspell up this turn. How good is Planar Genesis as a card? Makes more sense in your version number 1. It's like really mandatory here where it's blue and green. It's an instant for Murktide. You're playing a little bit more at instant speed with the spell pierces. It's like this is like, it's just weird. Like the impulse is so good in this build. It is weirdly just kind of the perfect card. Yeah, I saw Caleb's build. Caleb had some like really good numbers, I think, too. So they have Force of Negation. We maybe get got a little bit. It looks like they don't have it though. Black Knight with the 6 monks. Thank you. Welcome back. Glad you like the stream. Oh, I met a Spikeling in the airport, like like at midnight on Monday. He was like, I was just watching you on YouTube, and there you are. It was so funny. All right. So they pitch it to Fairy. They got 4 cards left in their hand. So I fetch and Surveil, I could have 3 cards in my yard, and I could 4 mana Murktide, but then I tap out a Spell Pierce, which is awkward if they play a Planeswalker on this next turn. I feel like you're jumping way ahead of this meta with this deck. Yeah, I was a bit worried that I wouldn't have the opportunity to play this with the vacation, but I've been thinking about it all weekend. It's like, not only does the counter magic make you better in the mirror, it makes you better against combo decks, but the Murktides and the counterspells also make you better against the blue decks. So I feel like this deck is just better positioned now that the metagame is evolving. I do think these initial lists are very, very good. And Elk with 25. Good to see you, Travis. EOT FOFU. Like, I guess this is what happens when you take 5 days off. Everybody comes back and subs. So this is a requisite green card for Allosaurus Rider. It also lets me Murktide for 4 mana. I guess I could also just go Allosaurus Rider with Force of Negation spell. I guess only Force of Negation up. How do you feel Chancellor preserve the turn 1 wins? This is not important in this build, I think. Yeah, I think I just want to tap out for a Murktide and maybe get a counterspell out of their hand and then go for it next turn. Is the notion that Modern is just dominated by Boros again true? I think it was true for a little bit, although it was like, it wasn't the same in the way, like, if you could only be good against it if you're playing some certain combo decks. There's like more ways to be good against Boros than how it used to be. But yes, Boros was the best deck, and this is largely because Prowess is like good. Basically, the meta was Prowess is good against everything besides Boros, and Prowess was good against everything besides Boros, and there wasn't like a lot of a reason to. Okay, hold on. Do I force back? I don't think so, because I can just keep this to protect my combo. Sorry, Prowess is good against basically everything besides Boros, more or less. Like there's some exceptions like Titan. And then Boros is good against Prowess, and Boros is good against a lot of the things Prowess are good against, with some exceptions like Titan. Yeah. Okay, so he drew a Spell Pierce, which is interesting. I think I want to keep my Murktide in play. Okay, so they have one card left in their hand. They graveyard an Ash, or they pitch an Ashiok and a No More Lies. And we still got a Murktide chugging along. Uh-oh. Ah. Shaka with the 46 months. Hope you had a great bachelor party. I did. Thank you for checking. All right, 2 cards in their hand. We do get to redeploy this. High Noon. Okay. Now you do eventually get into the point where you like are hardcasting Ghalta, which is a way to get Ureni into play. They only have 1 card in their hand. They can use the High Noon to kill my Murktide Regent here. Unfortunately, they might miss that. It's kind of easy to miss. Okay, not missing, and might lose this one. Have game 3. Very funny, funny way to lose. Yeah, fire off a Solitude. I feel like they wouldn't do this if this was their only bit of pressure. Although I guess they could bounce it with Teferi if I played a Murktide next turn. I know you'll laugh at me this question. Why Ureni? I mean, I think it's a fine question. Like Ureni is just very good. I just kept losing to this card. It's very good against like Boros, Orzhov. It's a 10/10, pro white, pro black. It's so hard to kill. It's sweet. It cleans up boards. The card is just good, and I know that it's not super obvious. So I guess the plan is to draw a land, or I guess I have to draw 2 lands, and then draw a Ghalta. And maybe the plan should be to go to game 3. Well, any thoughts a couple turns ago to just keep Allosaurus Rider on board, not Neoform? You had Spell Pierce and Force up. I mean, you could have maybe done that. To me, it just didn't seem that likely that they had 2 Force of Negations and 2 blue cards. I think it just seemed like a good enough spot to go for it. Yeah, I'm not playing a red land to hardcast Ureni, especially because you have hardcast Ghalta to put the Ureni into play. Like a single red land does hurt the mana base, and it's not like you don't have the other outs to get it out of your hand. You also can pitch it to Force and Force of Vigor post board. Spike's gonna have a Stomping Ground after the Siege. I mean, even if I had a Stomping Ground, I still couldn't cast it because it cost 1 too many mana. Oh, and regret it. I missed that part. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna add it. Okay, going to game 3. On the play, let's go. I was playing a Charlotte's Agent version that wasn't that good, but I thought I needed more blue and green cards, and I had a Fire Ice in that deck, and I had a Steam Vince in that deck. What do you think about Ascendancy versus Boros and Prowess? I feel like it's pretty okay. It's okay. I think Ascendancy's a fine playable deck. I think that play draw matters a lot. How many sideboard cards does Boros have for you matters a lot. But I don't think it's like a super lopsided matchup in any of those 3 dynamics. I do think I like the Ascendancy gamers are feeling pretty good, and I keep meaning to like go back and update the Jeskai Ascendancy deck, and I keep just focusing on other stuff, I guess. I feel like you should have just Neoformed the Murktide and had a Pierce Force backup if Neoform resolves. Well, no, it's the same amount of mana, right? Like Allosaurus Rider costs 0. Okay, I don't care about that. Like, if they pop that aggressively to stop the Murktide, that's whatever. Like, I didn't spend any mana on the Allosaurus Rider, so I don't understand how that's supposed to keep me, or let me keep both up, right? Oh, you saying I have the pitchable Force up for the Teferi? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that plays around Force blue card, Teferi. Like, if that's what you want to play around, I guess. It just didn't seem like... To me, it seems like just a bit much. If the meta had more counters, would you consider a Mistrise Village in the 75? Yeah, I think Mistrise Village could be good. I have been playing against a lot of Counterspell decks. We already have a lot of anti-Counterspell tools, but no, it does seem like it could be good. It could be very mana intensive, but like the first copy just seems like it might be hard for them to beat. You have a lot of dig for it. Don't like the land there. No, I want to fill up the yard for Murktide Regent, and so like it's just like if we draw any other land in the Murktide, it's like really nice, and it kind of pays for the Murktide too. Don't know how much of an argument that is. I'm just gonna play this tapped. But yeah, I want to fill up the yard for the Murktide. I don't think my opponent is gonna super aggressively crack the Lantern, although we could be wrong about that, of course. Yeah, I will do a set review video for Final Fantasy. Well, let's go ahead and just main phase. Okay, they are thinking about cracking the Lantern, which again, that would be fine. Sharps to the 22, welcome back. Is the full spoiler out? You know, I've been bachelor partying for like 5 days. Went to after 2 years. I just got married. Hope your bachelor party was great. It was great. It was so nice. I really liked going with like all of Esther's friends are my friends and vice versa. So it was really good just everybody to go hang out together. Seems like a fetch I could hit land drop and fill graveyard. What? No, I didn't. I been Disciple of Freyalise. I didn't been a fetch land, did I? What am I missing? Full spoilers tomorrow. Okay, cool. So I mean, because I missed so many stream days, like I do really want to. Okay, we could keep that, and then we could have Force and Spell Pierce up for it. Hardcast Force and Spell Pierce. I went to New Orleans. 5 years to Sam. Let's go. And New Orleans was great. It, like I actually like I've been to most of the major cities in America. There's a few I haven't been to, but I feel like New Orleans was definitely the friendliest city I've ever been to. Everyone was just like incredibly friendly. I'm gonna hardcast Force on this since I've got the Spell Pierce to handle the next thing, and I don't really care about Force of Negation because we're just casting the Allosaurus Rider. Now I do have to figure out what I'm pitching. I think I'm gonna pitch these two so I can try to get Ghalta or have Ghalta be a really good hit. If they have a Solitude, they have a Solitude, and you know maybe we'll be able to set up for a Murktide. Yeah, I did get the shoe line a couple times. Alright, they Solitude, pitch, Rediscover the Way, unfortunately. We keep battling. A little 3 for 2 there. Okay, so this doesn't stop. Birthing Ritual. I don't want to Spell Pierce this because then they just exile my graveyard, though. Thankfully, they don't mill over anything too scary. Griselbrand at least had some counters play if we went that route. So you wanted to go you wanted to go for Neoform? Yeah, that might have been the line too. It does feel like this was a winnable game. Snapcaster in the deck, huh? Okay, so I'm definitely going to Spell Pierce this to get the extra card in the yard. We'll see if they minus the Ashiok, though. Pierce doesn't feel great in games that tend to go long. I think I agree. I think that it's like a pretty important card to have in these matchups, though. So if we draw a land, fetch land 2, we can cast a Murktide, and if we find a Ghalta, we can put Terastodon into play, kill like maybe 1 Teferi and 2 of our lands. We'll see. And if that doesn't happen, we'll probably be conceding. They could have another Solitude too. Looks like they're thinking about bouncing the Snapcaster. They bounced the Birthing Ritual to stop me from doing that. Very heads up. Very heads up. Let's move on. Really, they have 1 green card for that Rider because we need this as a land, so I'm going to mulligan. The Scalding of a Home 75 to deal Solitude overlaps with prowess threats. I mean, you could, of course. I don't like that it doesn't hit Steel Cutter though, if you want to bring it in as part of your prowess plan. Well, we don't have any lands. My opponent's on a mulligan to 6. We're going to be going to 5. Let's keep this, and then just put back the 2 non-green cards so we can try to surveil onto a green card for the turn 2. This hand against Blue Belcher is probably not great since they have so much counter magic. I see that eBay is shutting down the only unionized branch of TC player and sent the goons to the workers. Yeah, they sent me an email while I was on the bachelor party. I just saw it this morning. I was gonna look into that a little bit more. Did not find a green card. There's one though. It's a bit awkward because Terastodon might have been the best thing to get. Although I guess Griselbrand will still be probably the best. Well, now they have Flare of Denial online. They reveal a Goblin Charbelcher. Are they more likely to be able to show I think it's probably better that I could find Spell Pierce off the Griselbrand than playing around Shoal X equals 2. It's not even that that big a difference between the two, and you know, if they have a flare, we lose. Nice. So we got a lot of counter magic we can draw into, and there's a lot of counter magic. So maybe I should fight over these Lotus Blooms. Yeah, I kind of like forcing both blooms since this this just might make a Tom Machine effective, right? You know, this is a game that traditional Neoform might have had difficulty closing. Now, I did have to pitch the Terastodon, which would be the card that would, like, kind of immediately lock things up. Might be able to Neoform, like, a Ureni into play here or something. Sure. Well, good thing they tapped out of those snares on the turn that it mattered, huh? I didn't better just cast a Murktide. Alright, gotta discard 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, up a game against Belchy. Gonna bring in the Veil of Summers. Probably not any subtleties or forces. I'm gonna cut the Ureni in this matchup. I'm gonna trim an Evolution. You'd like to do this against the Counterspell decks. I guess Containment Priest is back on the menu. Yeah, I was working on a Shaya combo a little bit yesterday. I was trying to play Korean Ranger plus a Shaya. It is kind of the only like 2-card green sunnable combo, but it's pretty expensive. But it's just 2 pieces, infinite mana. I was like, I was building a non-elves build. I'm like, I'll just try an elves build, and I had a Containment Priest in there to chord for in the Neoform matchup, and it was way too slow. Yeah, you don't need Xenagos when you have all the Force of Negations, which is part of the selling point, in my opinion, on this build. All right, definitely keeping this. So very likely going to want to wait until turn 3 where we got the Veil of Summer up for our Allosaurus Rider. And we should be able to get that 3rd land off of the Neoform. Now, I don't really need this since I have the Veil of Summer right now. That's obviously a great draw. Could the last ride be better now that you have Cutter tokens to crew? Well, the big issue with the last ride was that when I was working on it, the black-white Solitude Ketchmos deck was by far and away the most popular deck in Modern. And it was like, what are we doing here? Why are we trying to work on a Death Shadow variant when this is the most popular deck in Modern? So, okay, they reveal a Flare of Denial. You find a land. This is actually really good. Because they're going to counter this. And then I think what we want to do is, because we've got the Force Murktide in our hand, we can afford to be a little slower. And so I think that means we want to cast Birthing Ritual next. And then if this gets countered, then we save the Neoform. And if this doesn't get countered, then we can play Allosaurus Rider. But what's nice about doing this is that if they have Force of Negation, we're not like, or I guess Shoal, we're not like just losing everything to go all in here. We can still have our Rider in play, or sorry, still have our Birthing Ritual in play. We've seen the official spoiler. I'm gonna not force this bloom. It's just so bad if they have Tamashi though. I think it's just too much worse if they have a Belcher. The spoiler for Golbaz Crystal Collector. I have not seen that one, no, but I'll take a look at a link. I haven't been looking too hard at spoilers while I've been on vacation. Right, they're thinking. It's a little bit interesting. I mean, sorry, I guess I'm always pitching Murktide here. Never mind. Not interesting at all. Anything else I missed over the weekend? Oh, no, they did have the Tamashi. It's a blue version of Stand with Steel Seeker, but also payoff. Okay. I want to take a look. Sorry, I didn't see which land they returned just now. Be in Veil. Maybe, does it say it? Okay, return to Archive first. Yeah, I saw that the Thunder, they lost a game by 40, and now they're 3-1. Okay, whenever an artifact enters Surveil 1. So Surveil is a lot worse than, like, look at top, put a land into your hand if it's a land. If you're instant, you control 4 more artifacts, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Then if you control 8 or more artifacts, each opponent loses life equal to that card's power. Okay. That card's pretty cool. So they have 11 mana. Is there any obvious huge build around apart from Vivi? Yeah, there's like 15 or 16 cards I'm pretty excited for. So if they have another Flare or a Spell Pierce or a Shoal, then this stops me or they win. But if they have like a 2-mana Counterspell, can maybe Neoform into Terastodon if we draw a non-Terastodon green card. Yeah, but we can wait for the video. I think there's a lot of stuff I'm excited for. Okay, they have a Jirari Disruption. So then there's a Belcher into play. They only have 2 mana. They'll pass. They also can't activate Tamashi next turn, can they? Because they won't have any white mana. They'll have white mana the turn after. I draw a land. I guess I play the land. And then they're going to go tapped white source. Wait, or did they have the tapped white source? Okay, they do have the tapped white source, and then I have to draw a green card, or I lose that. Non-Terastodon green card. Oh, that works too. And of course, they have to not have a counterspell. To game 3. They see Ruban, cool 3 goal. I don't know if I remember that one. Well, I gotta keep this. A little slow, maybe. They could have won if they made more correct mana. Yeah, if they had one more white floating, they could have won. Oh no, they didn't have enough lands in play. Never mind. Okay, points on the mold to 6. Says use some info blue sky for later. Okay, I'll take a look. I did get an email from them I saw this morning. I was about a spicy Nezuhal on the side will work so well in this deck. What do you think? I have to reread that card, I guess, but isn't it just like a really resilient threat, which like the Ureni already does? Can't be countered, so that doesn't matter. Oh, it's also 7 mana, so you need only 8 drops in this build. You have no max hand size. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card, discard 3, exile it. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like why is it better than a Terastodon, a Ureni, or a Griselbrand? I may be missing something, but I feel like I would just rather have any of those cards. So drawing the Terastodon, I mean, maybe we can get Ghalta and put that into play. We might be too low on green cards, though. Maybe it was greedy to graveyard a land because we kind of do need the 4th land here. Okay, we'll keep that. Although I guess now we need to draw a land or a green card to go off with Veil of Summer up next turn. Don't think we need to have the hardcast Force up, though. Maybe next turn we can have Force plus Veil up. Oh, sorry, this isn't coming down this turn. I don't really understand Ureni deck. It's just like impossible to kill and clears the board. It's like it's very good against Boros, very good against Orzhov. Probably much better than you would expect in general. Yeah, let's just go ahead and have hardcast Force. Well, hold on, sorry. They missed the land drop, so actually let's cast a Murktide, and then we can maybe go Evolution with Veil up next turn. Okay. Well, blue card back in the hand for the Force, I guess. Kind of nice to get that card out of the hand as well. I found the green card. When do I Veil? Do I just main phase the Veil? I think so. Yeah, against Solitude decks. It just kills really quick too. I've been losing a lot to the card. The card is quite strong. Well, we do beat Shoal X equals 2. We also have Force blue card up still. I think I'm gonna go for it in this spot. Nice. So Veil to protect from more bounds should be pretty good here. And then we are going to go ahead and fight over this. We couldn't have Force there. Not offensively, no. But when I say we have Force up, I mean on their turn. So like if they do like Force or Shoal me, then I can Force their combo, and then we can just like stare at each other for a little bit. So they play that untapped. They were for a Lotus. Let's see if we find a Spell Pierce. No, but I think we should fight over this. I don't think I want to play anything from my hand. Yeah, no worries, Wilhelm. I know how you misheard, so I was just trying to clarify. Yeah, we just as long as we stop them from getting a bloom into play, there's just no way for them to kill me next turn. And then, not that they could ever get a Griselbrand off the field here, but have a backup lethal threat, a million Veil of Summers up. Okay. And I don't know, like I think this build and the first match, or I guess maybe not the first match. I feel like this match like is definitely a good showcase for why we're in on the counter magic compared to the more traditional build. Like you're just gonna have a very tough time against Blue Belcher, I think, as the traditional build. I've done one Gold League. I actually meant to Gold League today. I just kind of forgot. Maybe we'll Gold League after this. The full standard legal Final Fantasy set looks to be so cool. I will dig into it and get the video up as soon as possible. I really want to stream Saturday though, so that I can make up for lost time to some extent, but might not be able to do that if I need to get this video out. The set fully comes out on Magic Online on the 10th, I believe. Ooh, grinding station. So this is Basim. Oh, so not Basim, Kethis. Oh, it could be similar to the deck we play that's playing like Crystal Skull. Okay, it is Kethis though. Alright, so let's go ahead. I could put Ureni Atraxa into play. Sure. Sorry, not Atraxa, Ghalta. I always mix those two names up, I don't know. There's not an all access token, but there is like they did add something. It's like, what is it called? Wait, no, it's not on the home screen anymore. What? There's some kind of like maybe it just ended or something, but there was some kind of like new player thing that you could just play. You could pick up a pre-existing like net deck, and you could just play like a match of Modern with it. It ended today. Okay, I saw it this morning, and I was gonna shout it out. Video priority, please. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. It's very unlikely that I can prep for the stream, do my other projects, and do the video during the week this week. So we'll see. We'll see if they have a Teferi here also. It's Monday to Wednesday rotating formats. Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad that they're trying stuff like that out. They're not conceding, so. Okay, they've cast Arona. I go to combat. This is a 13 power trampler. All right. I did indeed see the line here, it seems. Okay, so we're up against Kethis combo. Kethis combo is kind of weird to sideboard against. They're playing the Grinding Station. They're playing Rona. I kind of feel like I want these pitch cards. Like, am I in on these and I'm not in on Force and Pierce? I think on the draw, cutting an evolution is fine. Why don't we have better 9-drops in Magic? Yeah, you know, honestly, I feel like it would be cool if there was more good big stuff. Specifically, I have just been, like, so thirsty for a... I'm going to keep this in. I've been so thirsty for a good... for a good artifact to cheat into play. I have so many shells that if we ever got like an Archon of Cruelty level artifact, that would be good. But I think they're going to be really hesitant to do that too because of Ugin's Labyrinth. Okay, I don't think I'm going to Subtlety this. All right. Could make a colored artifact. That's true, yeah. The best Modern artifact they made is Portal to Phyrexia. Yeah. Cityscape Leveler is also pretty good, but like all of the cheat stuff into play, you don't get the cast trigger, which is pretty disappointing. Might Subtlety this. I think I'm going to pitch the Murktide, and I'm going to dig for a Neoform with the Planar Genesis. Or I'm just going to rip it off the top. But yeah, Portal to Phyrexia just... It's like, especially when Boros plays a bunch of like static prisons, like this doesn't matter. I don't know. There's just like, it's also just so easy to flood the board with tokens in the Boros stack and with the Steel Cutter. They may be the one that blows up all the lands. Yeah, there's Sundering Titan, which is better in some metagames than others, but it's just also not very good against Boros and Prowess because they get to the board so heavy. So yeah, so it's like Portal, Sundering Titan, and Cityscape Leveler. Usually the big three, and then usually you're like, Mere Battlesphere. Wait, come on, Shirley, come on. And then there's Bolas's Citadel, which is like not quite reliant enough to combo off with. They maybe mistapped here, not that Opal's offline. Yeah, we went to New Orleans for the bachelorette party. It was great. All right, I guess I'm going to say no to these, grab a Preordain, which could maybe find me a Birthing Ritual or a Neoform. Not enough mana to find Eldritch Evolution. All right. So why don't we just go ahead and do this first and see what happens, and then Preordain after if this fails. Yeah, I really liked it there. I've never been. Esther had been for like a business trip years ago. Then she really wanted... it was her idea to do this as the big joint bachelorette party, and I really like doing the joint party too. It's like, cause just all my friends are her friends and vice versa, so it was really nice. Ghost of 31, thank you, welcome back. We went on an airboat tour, which was so cool. I was literally like 6 inches away from a gator that was on the boat, and the gators were so cute. They were so, like, I didn't expect them to just be just literally be dogs, basically. Maybe I should have dug for a Force of Vigor. They got a Mox Opal? I guess it's for the Kethis. Go to any good restaurants? With my dietary restrictions, honestly, I don't. We went to a Croquet, which was really good, but for the most part, I wasn't really thinking much about the food. This maybe gives me 7 more cards. Okay, I'm going to try to find a Force of Vigor now. Gators the last name I'll call cute. I thought so too. I was in the same boat pre-Gator experience. Okay, let's get a 4-1 prediction going. I was in the exact same boat, and then I was literally in a new boat, an airboat, and they were just so cute. they like swim up to the boats because they're used to getting fed, and they're really sweet. I saw a man kiss a gator on the head and pet it, and it was happy. It was, I don't know, it was cute. There's crazy things that happen outside, it seems. All right, let's keep this. Yeah, they were throwing out marshmallows. They love the marshmallows. Oh, also, when we were on the riverboat too, it's like there was like lightning like right in front of us in the distance. It was like just perfect. It was so cool. Do you think Neoform is better than the other Reanimator deck? I do have some thoughts on the Goryo's Opal deck. I want to try a non-Asmo version at some point this week and just play one cookbook as a Saga target, and I think that opens up the deck somewhat. Although, doing that, we are going to open ourselves up. I'm going to graveyard this, trying to high roll a Birthing Ritual or Neoform. When you build the deck in that way, you open yourselves up to Bowmaster more, because you're so in on Griselbrand, and then you lose your answer to Bowmaster, but maybe we can play Fatal Push. Which I know is not exactly the answer to your question. Yeah, I have seen Fishing Garrett. I haven't seen any of his stuff in a while, but I'm familiar. Very cool guy. I think we might be good here. There's a Neoform. I think I have to take one of these green cards. Just take the Neoform, I guess. The Ureni just cannot probably be beaten by this start, right? That being said, I feel like Ghalta's just got to be the better choice here. Kind of close. Yeah, you really literally can't lose this spot, but also I get to do this. So I don't know. But I don't know, maybe they just could have 2 Solitudes and I'd be in big trouble. Yeah, they could have a Wrath, that's true. But also, like, I have the Murktide in play if they do have Temple Solitude to maybe find another Neoform effect. Ooh, Demolition Field. Glad I decided to play the third basic, I guess. Okay. I guess we'll attack first. Wrath of Skies. Get to gain a little bit of life here. It's going to be mono white with Karn, build, Dingo play less than I did well in challenge. That's cool. Yeah, I've definitely missed some stuff being out of town. Alright, we should have got Ureni. And now we can. Alright, 11-11, flying, pro white, pro black. You've got one card in hand and one demolition field in play. Good luck. Didn't win the challenge, I think it was like a story. Yeah, I've been out of town, I've been on vacation. But dude, I was so sad I couldn't stream yesterday, but I just felt like shit after spending all day at the airport, watching our flight get delayed and delayed again. Watch a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm. So the subtleties can help a lot against the solitudes, and then I would guess that they're on containment priests. They also may have, if they're playing Karn, if they're playing Wrath of God, like maybe play like 3 Force of Negation, 4 subtleties, 0 Pierce. What was the best food you ate in New Orleans? We went to a place called Croquet, and there was like, as a vegetarian, like, I've got other dietary restrictions. I don't have that much, but I like a nice like squash dish that was pretty good. But my friendship sustains me over the food, and Esther's really into food too. So it's it's fun to watch her get really excited. I had beignets for the first time, and they're kind of just donuts. All right, Mulligan puts on a Multi 6 also. Let's keep. When I switch to veg, toward the beginning of this year, I've got GERD really bad, and so my doctor recommended it to help like not have a bunch of GERD flare-ups. And like I tried losing 40 pounds, I tried no dairy, I tried no fried food, I tried no coffee, and I'm still doing all of those things too. But the only thing that like the most effective thing was full vegetarian, and so I'm pretty in at this point. So we found our green card. Do I want a second Neoform? Yeah, I guess. Might keep me with this. Oh, when costs 34 months. So yeah, it's working out pretty good. I have some other vegetarian friends too, and it is also nice to not eat animals. Like, I think that is pretty cool. Are y'all a vegetarian household? No, Esther still eats meat, although she helps me like find recipes and cook and stuff because she is a real sweetie. High noon, huh? Well, I guess we'll just try to do this over the course of 2 turns. Isn't it better to grab the dragon because they can't target as protected? Yeah, I mean, they could have had Wrath. I didn't know what we're up against. Also, when I got to Ghalta, put Terastodon and Murktide into play, like, that felt like it was probably going to win the game. Yeah, I don't really miss meat either. It's just kind of tough when you go out to eat mostly, but there's just, like, less options. But yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing a lot more cooking, too, than I ever have. I haven't lifted any weights also in like 5 days. Very excited to pump some iron today. My go-to vegetarian recipe. I just like stir fry mostly. Not too picky. I agree. The worst part is like people trying to accommodate you. I agree. Do they have a solitude here? Okay. I've got 2 of these. I guess I can keep the subtlety up too, so I don't like need to. I don't need to worry much about a Solitude on my Griselbrand. I do think I want to get Griselbrand so that I don't lose to Wrath of God, which they might have in this kind of build. I did draw my last basic land, so I guess that punishes me for the upkeep activation. So I don't want to go, I think, Murktide and Allosaurus Rider this turn and like overcommit into the board. If I just play a Rider, I don't have to discard anything to hand size. So I think I'll do that. Oh, right, they have High Noon. I forgot about High Noon. It's about the red-black Arcanist deck from a few months back. Do you think Corey Stonecutter could slot the deck nicely? Or other changes to be made? I've looked at it too. I'm not really sure, honestly. I could see it going either way. Well, what are they? I guess they're just going to Solitude. I'm going to Subtlety, and we'll 4-1 our first league of the day. Can't play any more spells here. Alright, so we lost a close one to that Jeskai build, but not a bad first league of the day. I want to play a gold league. I kind of meant to join Gold League first, and I forgot that was the thing. Dang, I am so happy to be back. It's nice to take a vacation. Like, I don't get to take them very often, but I also just love... I love grinding, I love streaming, I love working on my projects.